Hey everyone, it's Kristen. Welcome back to my channel. Today I have a DIY for you, and this is a Valentine's Day wreath. So we're going to start out with the items that you will need. Everything that you see here is from the Dollar Tree with the exception of one spool of ribbon. I will point that out when we get to it. The first thing is a wire wreath form. Mine is the heart shape. These are out now at your local DTs. If you can't find these, you can use a regular round wire wreath as well. That will work just fine. The next thing that I have, and they call these tinsel stems, to me they're pipe cleaners, but I did pick these up during Christmas where I was able to pick up the pack of all red. They do have a multicolor pack that they have out year round that does include some red stems. That will probably give you all you need to make a wreath, but if you end up having to use another color, it's fine. They will be hidden for the most part by the time we get done with the wreath. The next few things here, they call this sparkle mesh. To me, it's a sparkle tool. This is a pretty pink color with a little bit of glitter running through there. And then I have two white rolls. I love the white. They carry those year round. You're gonna find those in the wedding baby shower section is where they keep those at my store. I love them for present wrapping and all that good stuff. So picked up two of those. And then the decorative mesh, I picked up two of the pink with the little red thread running through it, and then one of the white with the red. And then I also have a solid red. That was actually out during Christmas as well. I did see some in the floral section. In the Valentine's Day section, the red has a gold thread running through it. If you want gold accents on your wreath, you can pick it up there. Otherwise, check your floral section. I just didn't want gold going through this wreath. I wanted to stick with white, pink, and red. And then I have some spools of ribbon up here. The three here are all from the Dollar Tree, and these are all wired ribbon. And then this one over here is the one that is from Dollar General. And this was out as part of their Christmas items, but it was on clearance, which is why I ended up picking that up at Dollar General. So I got that for 60 cents instead of $2. And that's all red with a little bit of a design to it. You can see the glittered dots on there. And then the three narrow spools of ribbon here are also from the Dollar Tree, and these are just a satin ribbon, no wiring to those at all. And that is everything that you will need. You can use extra mesh if you want. I'm trying a little bit more ribbon this time, so we'll see how this one turns out. Now we'll get started. In addition to the supplies that I listed, you will also need a pair of scissors and a tape measure. The first thing you're going to do is measure out your decorative mesh into 7-inch strips. The mesh was being a little tricky for me here, but once you cut one out, you can use that as your template to cut out the remaining pieces. Because it is a little tricky to work with, I have another option for you as well, and you'll see that in just a minute. Using the first piece that you cut out, just lay that on top of your roll of decorative mesh. And use that to cut your next 7-inch piece. While the first way is definitely a good option, another thing you can do is cut up a cardboard box. On this one, I just used the lid. Cut this down to size. Again, 7 inches is the length that I chose to use for my wreath. If you're using a larger wire wreath form, you might want to use a larger measurement. 7 inches worked just fine for me on the smaller heart-shaped wreath from the Dollar Tree. If you could do 8, you could even go up to 10 inches depending on the volume or the size that you'd like your wreath to be. Using the cardboard as a template is so much easier and faster. Rather than cutting out the strips one at a time, you can wrap them around the cardboard. Just keep looping it over and over. Just hold on tight so they stay in line. After you've done that several times, and it really just depends on the strength of your scissors, really, as far as how many loops you can make around the cardboard. Once you've done it several times, you can just cut off the ends and have many done at once. And this is definitely my preferred way to do it, just because you can get so many cut at once and it saves you a little bit of time. Be careful because the decorative mesh does have these little strings that can get caught on things, especially when working with tulle. Be very careful of that because the little edges get they kind of fray, and they're sharp little edges, so they can catch that tulle and kind of get caught in there. So just be careful when you are working with the decorative mesh. And here we are finally finishing our first little stack there. So now you have several done at once, a lot faster in my opinion. Once all of the decorative mesh pieces are ready, you will cut your, what I call pipe cleaners, what the Dollar Tree calls tinsel stems. And I was actually able to cut mine into fourths. I will have the total number of pipe cleaners listed at the end in the list of supplies. But because you're making smaller bundles, you really don't need a lot of that pipe cleaner. Just a little piece works to get your bundles going. Here I'm showing different ways to roll your mesh. I made a Halloween wreath and it was fun to have some pointy corners and some fun funky pieces sticking out. That is one option. The other option is just to roll it straight like I've done here. You make kind of a little loop, and that's cute too. When I did the Halloween one, I did a mix of both in my bundles. I did a pointy one and then a regular roll together. With this one, we're actually just scrunching up the middle, and it almost comes out like a little bow tie, but I thought there was something softer and almost more flowy to it, I guess, more flow. I think I just made up a word. I just really liked the way these came out when you just scrunch and bundle up the middle like that in the center. I just did two pieces together. Since I had two rolls of the pink decorative mesh, one white and one red, each bundle had a pink in it, and I just alternated. I did a pink and a red, and then a pink and a white, and a pink and a red, and a pink and a white. And I will tell you too that within my bundles, I alternated which color was on top. So if I found I had some red going on, I could put the pink color on top on a bundle and work that in there. Once you have a bundle made, you attach it to the wire wreath in the center rung. So put it right in the middle, and 7 inches is perfectly fine to cover the other edges. You will not see the other two rungs of the wreath once it's filled out. And again, just showing how to make the mesh bundles. Just kind of scrunch it up from the middle, make a cute little bow tie look. I clip mine in between my fingers, 2 fingers. That usually helps free up my first finger, pointer finger, and my thumb to do the scrunching on the next piece. Put those pieces together. I like how it has the soft edges to it when you do it this way. And then wrap around a piece of pipe cleaner to secure. It just really takes about 3 twists, and that holds it nice and tightly. And one more time. Scrunch up the middle, clip it between those fingers, and on to the next piece. And I usually made several of these at once. I kind of got in a rhythm and made several and would have a stack off to the side. And I will show you when we get a little bit further along how I put everything together. So I did alternate everything. So it was a pink and white bundle and a pink and red bundle. And then in between each of those, I did a bundle with ribbon. And that's what we're going to do here. Each ribbon bundle has a piece of tulle, I used the 7-inch template that I created, but the tulle and the ribbon I made a little bit longer, maybe 8 inches, 7.5, 8 inches, somewhere in there. After I cut several pieces of tulle, I also cut the ribbon. Same thing, just a little bit longer, so it sticks out a little bit more. That is the pink conversation heart ribbon. And within each bundle, usually I had it ended up being like a pink and a red wired ribbon, and then a satin ribbon along with the tulle. So a piece of tulle, 2 pieces of wired ribbon, and a piece of the satin ribbon. And I created those bundles just what I thought looked good together. There wasn't really a necessary pattern to it. If I had a white satin ribbon, I usually put more of a red and some other brighter colors of the wired ribbon with it. So just make the bundles that you think look nice and alternate them so you get a nice assortment of colors throughout the wreath. Once the ribbon is cut, just fold it in half. And you can, this is completely optional. This is just what I like to do to finish off the ends of the ribbon. And then you will cut at an angle, cut from the outside to the inside to the fold. So the outer edges into the fold. And that gives you a nice finished tail, so to speak, for your ribbon. So I did one end and the other. And usually doing each end separately on the satin ribbon worked best. You'll see the 2 edges here, or 2 ends. Just gives it a polished look in my opinion, but again, that step is completely optional. Now when it comes to the wired ribbon, it's a little bit wider and easier to work with, so I would fold it in half lengthwise and then fold it in half again, and you can make 1 cut. And that takes care of both ends of the ribbon. And your tails completely match, they're even. So again, it was a little harder on the narrow satin ribbon, so I did do those ends separately, but with the wider ribbon, this works just great. And you will continue that process with all of the ribbon. So this is an easy wreath, but it is time consuming. I worked over several days with a little one. I didn't have large chunks of time to work together, so you'll see several nail polish changes throughout here because this was over several days. We are now putting together our ribbon bundles. So as I mentioned, you'll have a piece of tulle. I kept that at the back on each one, so I rolled that one first. And then same technique as the decorative mesh, just gather up in the middle. There's 1 piece of wired ribbon and the second, and just kind of stack them on top of each other. If you're using your 2 fingers to hold them, that works great. If you'd like to use like a clothespin or a chip clip even, or something like that to kind of hold the bundles as you get each piece to add it, that works great too. I then layered a piece of the satin ribbon on top, grabbed a pipe cleaner, gave it a good twist, and then you've got a ribbon bundle. I alternated these as I went along, as I mentioned. Here you can see we have a decorative mesh followed by a ribbon bundle, decorative mesh, ribbon, back and forth around the wreath. And I just alternated colors. I found a good pattern that worked for me with the ribbon so that I had some variety going around. And you can set up a pattern that you can follow, or you can just be spontaneous with it and just plug in whatever you think the wreath needs at that place and have fun. Here again, we are scrunching up the wire wreath, or the wire ribbon. It's the red one in the back, a white, and then lastly on top, because I had the white ribbon on top, I went with the red background with the white hearts as the satin ribbon. Stack those up, wrap it with a pipe cleaner, just give it a few twists in the back. and another bundle is ready. And you can play with these a little bit before you put them on the wreath. You can zhuzh up the wreath as you go, or you can wait until the end and do fluffing and pull out certain colors here and there as you'd like. I would kind of do a little bit along the way just to make sure everything was flowing and I wasn't getting a section of too much red or too much pink or white. So I would usually kind of fluff it up a little bit as I went around the wreath. And here I'm just adding some more pieces around so you can see what the back looks like. You're going to use that center ring and just give it a few twists on there, and that'll hold it there. As I mentioned, I like to do a lot of bundles at once in the beginning and then have them on hand to just do several chunks of the wreath at a time. That's what worked for me, but you can certainly do it however you'd like. If you want to vary it up a bit, you can make a bundle and put it on right away. Whatever works for you. When you're done at the end, you will want to make sure that all of the little wire pieces are tucked back up against the wreath, and we'll talk about this at the end again as well, just to make sure it's not scratching your door or wall or wherever you may have the wreath hanging. And we are just about done, so we zipped ahead to the end. You can see that little piece that is left there. Almost to the finish line. We've got a little decorative mesh bundle we are going to tuck in there. And it does get a little tricky at the end to try to get those pieces fit in there just right. All the ties, as I mentioned, just kind of tuck those sharp edges up. And we're going to fill in that last little gap. Now what I did for my last one, because I needed just one more bundle with ribbon and I was short a second wire ribbon, I didn't want to go buy another spool of ribbon just for one bundle. So in this one I actually put 2 pieces of tulle. Just kind of did a little makeshift bundle here at the end, but it's one piece. It does not stand out. So when you get to the end, don't feel like you have to go buy a whole roll of something because you're missing out on one particular item. Just double up on a couple others and you'll be just fine. So with this one, as I said, I used 2 pieces of tulle. I actually only ended up using 1 roll of the white tulle for the whole wreath, which I was surprised about, but happy about. I will have that full list of supplies at the end. And I just doubled up with 2 satin ribbons. Fill in that last little gap and we are just about done. And again, everything except for 1 roll of ribbon was purchased at the Dollar Tree. I will have the total cost of the project at the end with the supply list. The 1 roll of ribbon that I picked up was from Dollar General. It was part of their clearance. That's something I always keep an eye out for, are things that are not necessarily holiday specific. Just because they're red doesn't mean it's Christmas. It worked out great here for the Valentine's Day wreath, so I just keep that in mind when looking at clearance things you can use for crafting throughout the year. Save a little bit of money. So I mentioned those last little pieces can be kind of hard to fit right in where you want them, and that tulle gets stuck to that decorative mesh. That's the trickiest part when working with those 2 pieces together. They do want to catch and cling. We'll get that piece in there. Give it a good twist. Fold the edges up. Oh, 1 more piece. I did have 1 more piece of decorative mesh in there. Fill that last little gap. And that one was the pink and white. As I mentioned, I did alternate the decorative mesh, pink and white, red and white, pink and white, red and white, with a ribbon bundle in between each one. And there we have it. Just kind of fluff it up a little bit, reshape it if you'd like. And then I took some scissors to some of those crazy stray ends, which you get with the decorative mesh, to try to trim it up a little bit, clean it up. And that's what we're doing here. If you'd like, you can reshape it a little bit too if you have some pieces that don't quite lend to the heart shape at the end. You can trim and try to give it that kind of point at the top. But really with the decorative mesh, it moves so well that you can just pull pieces down if you need to recreate that shape. But whichever way you prefer, you can trim it, you can just kind of manipulate it a little bit to give it the shape that you want. And here is the finished product. I think it turned out great. I love projects like this because they are not very costly at all. And so it's fun and easy to make a wreath for each season or holiday to celebrate with. An up close look. And the way mine worked out, I actually had a nice little point that I came to at the bottom, so I was good with the shape and how that turned out. Showing you the back, as I mentioned, just make sure that those ends are pointed in so they're not going to mark up a wall or your door. You could also cut a piece of felt or some thin cloth even and glue that to the outer edge of the wire wreath form to kind of hide everything and really protect your door. That's completely optional. And here's the supply list. Everything came out to a total of $15. All of the supplies used are listed here. Please make sure you reference this list since some items did change from the list I provided at the beginning of the video. And thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you like DIYs and how-to videos, and subscribe if you haven't already. Until next time, bye.